Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Noelle if you don't know. So today is one of those videos that is like, I didn't plan it. It's just the spirit, it was on my spirit to speak about it. I wanted to revisit this topic on about the plan that God has for each and every one of us, and how the enemy tries to steal, tries to destroy or ruin us and basically bring us out of alignment with this plan that God has for us. What inspired me to make this video, I highly recommend that y'all watch this video. This video right here is what inspired me to even make this video right now, because of how she explains spiritual warfare, and based off of the knowledge that I've learned in my walk with Christ. Another reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I had a weak moment yesterday. These past 2 days, I had a weak moment. I found myself thinking and feeling the same way that I used to feel, like back before I knew who Christ was. And I'm like, why am I feeling this way again? I know who God is. I know God has a plan for me. Like, why do I find myself still condemning myself on certain things? Why do I still find myself, repeating old patterns if I know who God is now? My mind was in a very dark spot, like I did it, like as if I just never knew who God was in the first place. And I started thinking of ways to cope with my feelings. And I'm like, why am I back here again? This morning, I actually ended up watching the video that I told y'all about to watch. This is what was revealed to me through the Holy Spirit, is that some of us have had a desire, and it's not, we have many desires. We have many desires throughout our lives, but the desire, it's that one desire that we have that we think to ourselves, if I'm only to pick one thing out of my life that I'm able to achieve, that I'm able to receive in this life, it will be that one thing. I don't need anything else. I just need this one thing to happen in my life. It's that one thing you just have to have. But in some situations, in my situation, God has already spoken with me about this. Like, God has placed that desire in my heart. So there are certain desires that God has placed so strong in your heart since you were a child. Like, this desire that I've had, I remember being a child and thinking to myself, like, if I were just to live a life of mediocrity, but I have this one thing, I'm okay. I will be fulfilled as long as I have this one thing. My life don't have to be perfect in any other area of my life. I could struggle with this, I could struggle with that. As long as I have this, I feel fulfilled. I feel like I've served my purpose in life. And some of us do have that type of desire within us. But God may have placed that desire in you, which is why you desire so much. Now, let's bring the devil into the mix. Let's bring the enemy into the mix. This is how the enemy works. Remember, or if you don't know, the enemy was Lucifer before he was Satan. He was Lucifer before he was Satan. He knows that he does know that God has a plan for us. Because he has this knowledge of God's plan in our lives, what he's going to do is, okay, I see that God is planning to do this with Noelle. So I'm going to manifest certain stuff in her life that's going to be a stumbling block in that specific area. So she cannot. Because if God is calling her this way, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that she doesn't go this way. Because that place that God is calling you is to glorify him. It's to expand his kingdom. The devil does not want the expansion of God's kingdom. He wants to hinder the plans of God. That is his mission, is to hinder the plans of God. So he knows that God has a plan with you. He's going to do everything he can to make sure that you don't step in that purpose, in that calling. It starts manifesting when you are a child. You deal with certain traumas in your life, whatever that trauma may be, what the lady was saying in this video. Her name is Tiffany. I forgot the last but her name was Tiffany. What Tiffany was saying in the video is the trauma is the devil's training ground, which means when you're traumatized, whatever traumas you're going through, the devil is training you. He's training you up to become your trauma. What she was saying, if you don't heal from your traumas, you become the thing that traumatized you. And that's exactly what the devil wants. When you get to that point where you become your trauma, under the circumstance that you haven't healed from that trauma, you haven't allowed Jesus in your life to help you heal from that trauma, you find yourself in this cycle of still going back to the same thing over and over and over again. You find yourself back feeling that feeling like, I know God now, why am I still doing this? Why do I still keep falling to the same sin? Why do I keep on doing this? Why do I keep thinking like this? Why do I keep getting triggered? Like I'm thinking, I thought you were healing me. I thought I was healed from this. It's as soon as you step into that sin, as soon as you open up that door for sin in that area you were traumatized in, you're giving access to the enemy. As long as you're giving access to the enemy, he's going to use you in that area, and you're going to feel like, I'm never going to step into this. Where God is taking me, I'm never going to step into it, because you're trapped in this bondage, in this cycle of this traumatic cycle. And that's what the devil wants. He wants to trap you in this bondage and in this cycle, in this specific area of your life. Because the devil knows, he knows that if you heal from this trauma, if you heal, it's over for him. It's over for him. Because once you heal and you allow God to finally work with you, it's over for him. Because what God is doing in that specific area of your life that you've been struggling with a majority of your life or all of your life, once you heal and you give it to God, it's over for the devil. Do you know how many souls that God will be saving through you? Do you know how many souls will be saved because you're finally stepping into that calling? Because you're finally submitted to his will. You finally start being obedient to his word. Do you know how many souls that you have that will be saved through your obedience? And the reason why I'm making this video is because the other day I was literally sitting down, and I know other people are going through the same thing. I was literally sitting down in the darkest place of my subconscious mind, in the darkest place, thinking, asking God, I thought you were healing me. You keep telling me that you're going to do this with me. You told me this 2 years ago, God. You told me this 2 years ago, and it still hasn't happened. If it's going to be this difficult for me to obtain this blessing or this breakthrough in my life, I don't want it anymore. I was literally asking God to take away the desire that he put in me, because the devil has made a way in my life from being a little girl, has put me in circumstances. Has put me in circumstances where I have been traumatized to a point where whenever the enemy attacks me in this area of my life, I can't handle it. It's too much for me, because this is like a very sensitive part. This is very sensitive to me, because he knows that God put this desire in her. She wants this thing, or he wants this thing so bad. So I'm going to literally pervert that in their life so much, and cause them to think negatively, think or whatever. I'm going to make sure I do anything in my ability to make sure this person does not step into that promise that God has for them. Because I know the second that they step in that, it's over for me. It's over for me. So I found myself in that dark place telling God, take this desire away from me. I don't want this desire anymore. I don't want this anymore. It hurts too much. Excuse me. I'm thinking to myself, it hurts too much because of the trauma behind it. It hurts too much. Take the desire away from me. That's exactly what the devil wants. I know that my purpose, because God has told me, Noel, I'm bringing you this way, and I want you to come this way. This is the way that I'm going to glorify. This is the way I'm going to glorify my name through you in my kingdom, to bring my children back to me. This is the way I'm going to use you, Noel. This is the way that I'm going to use you. And it's like, I hear you, God, and I want to go that way. You put this desire in me to go that way. But because of the trauma, I feel like I'm constantly being pushed back. As soon as I feel like I'm getting this close, I'm being pulled back to my old ways. I find myself doing the same stuff I used to do, thinking the same way, condemning myself, saying I'm not enough, saying that nobody, I find myself back in this dark space in my mind. And that's exactly what the devil does. So the whole point is, for moving forward, you have to know that we all struggle in multiple areas of our life, but there's always, for each and every individual, there's one main thing that you struggle with the most. And I hear people say all the time, the area that you struggle in the most is the area that God wants to glorify his name the most. Once you are able to identify that place, that struggle, that thing, this is what you do, okay? I'm going to use myself as an example. Okay, I know that I struggle in this area. Why every time I think I see a parking spot, it's no parking spot? And then there's a parking spot right here, but this person's in the way. See, look at this. Anyway, look, I'm getting impatient right now, y'all. You have to move so carefully. You have to move with so much discernment in that area of life. I'm not saying ignore all the other parts. I'm not saying that. You have to carry yourself with discernment in all areas of your life. But the specific place that you need the specific place that you really need to pay attention to is the area that you struggle in the most. Whatever area you struggle in the most, you need to, just like the word says, the devil prowls around like he's a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Like, you have to move like that. Like, you have to really realize you have to carry yourself in so much the spiritual discernment that you get to a point where you know when the devil's trying to manifest a certain thing. In a certain area of my life, I have to carry myself different, because I know no matter what I do, if it's not under the authority of God, if I do anything outside of his authority in this area of my life, the devil is going to be so quick to snatch me up. The devil's going to be so quick to get me back to before I knew God. I'm going to find myself back doing something that God delivered me from, because that is just how sensitive and I am in this area of my life. I have to remain obedient to God in all areas of my life, but especially in that area. The devil's mission is to hinder you from walking into your calling. When you keep finding yourself back doing the same things you used to do, even I've given my life to Christ, and I find myself back into this sin. I find myself second guessing myself. I know who I am. I made a whole video 2 weeks ago about how I was dealing with low self-worth and low self-esteem, and I made a video 3 days ago about how I know I'm glorified. I'm crowned with glory and honor. I know these things. I know the truth. However, I still find myself back in these situations where I'm questioning my worth. I'm questioning my value. This area of my life is so sensitive that one little thing the devil does, all he has to do is manifest one little scenario or one little situation, and then I flirt with it a little bit, and then days go by, weeks go by, months go by. Now I'm fully back into my sin. The devil does it this way because he knows that Noelle has a desire. Her desire in this area is so strong. All I have to do is this, and she's gonna go right back to it. And everybody has that. Whatever your desire is, you have to be careful. You have to be careful with what your desire is, because even though God may have placed his desire in you, the devil's going to take advantage of that desire, and he's going to manifest certain things in your life. He's going to manifest counterfeit situations that's going to make you think, oh, is this God? Because God, yeah, you told me already that this is what's going to happen. So is it going to happen through this way? And then you find yourself sinning and sinning and sinning. It's like, what? It's like, God, I thought this was good. I was like, God. And that also makes you so discouraged, because it's like, in the beginning, you're thinking it's God and God is doing something. And then you turn around and look at the situation like, this is looking not good right now. So that's why I'm saying, like, you have to be careful with your desires. You have to truly give all of your desires to God, and you have to allow him to fulfill those desires for you, and trust in God that he's going to do it. He is going to do it. The way that the devil is attacking my mind, you know, the way he's been attacking my mind these past 2 days, you know, I was thinking about drinking something to get drunk. I was thinking about smoking weed. I was thinking about doing all types of stuff, because I was so stressed out, and my mind was so gone and in this dark place that I was looking for any reason to just not be thinking that way. I prayed to God. I didn't do those things, but I even prayed to God himself, because God has gotten me to a point now. Praise God that he's gotten me to this point. But God has gotten me to a point now where I can think about these things. I can think about, okay, let me do this as a solution, or let me do that as a solution, like worldly things. And I'll just sit there and think to myself, that's not going to fulfill me. That's not going to do anything. The only thing that's going to truly heal me is God, and God alone. Y'all have to be so careful. And I'm saying this for myself too. I don't make these videos. I make the videos really for y'all, but it's like, I know that my experiences and the things that are happening and have happened in my life, this is a testimony. My life is I am a living testimony. I am a living testimony. So if I have the chance to speak my story with y'all, and it resonates with y'all, and y'all are able to become closer with God, or like get through whatever your trials, whatever your challenges in your life, because of what I'm saying, I'm going to do it. You have to guard your heart. It's so hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's incredibly hard to give it to God. It really is. It's really hard to completely surrender to God in the area that you struggle with the most. Like, I've surrendered so many parts of my life to God. Like my finances, for one example. I say that for an example. Like my finances, I'm not in a good finance. I'm just now getting to a place in my life where I could look at my bank account and be like, okay, I have a good amount of money for like my spending money. But like these past couple months, these past couple months, girl, I was actually living paycheck to paycheck. I left my job. I quit my job that I was hanging on to for like 6 years. I quit that job, and I wasn't really making no money, and it was like I was so, and I had a period where I was very anxious. I had a period where I was very stressed about it, and there were times where, you know, I cried about it a couple times and whatnot. However, I gave it to God very easily. Very easy. I had my moments, but I gave it to God like this. I said, God, you know, you gonna do something about this, and I know you will. And ever since then, like, and he's doing it right now. Like I looked at my bank account today. I said, oh my goodness, this looks good, and that's why I'm at the store right now. So anyway, I gave it to God. But when it comes to this certain area of my life, it is so hard to give it to God. I'm telling you, it's so hard for me to be like, God, I know you're going to take care of this. It's so hard for me because of how much I've been traumatized and beat down over and over and over and over again my entire life from this specific area of my life. I've been beat down so much, y'all. When I look at God, I'm like, can you really do this? Can you really do this? I'm having a hard time trusting that you can do this. Even though I know the truth, I read his word and I know his word is the truth. His word says that things that are impossible with man things that are impossible with man are possible with God. However, and you're continually being beat down over and over and over again in one specific area of your life, and you find God, it's still really hard. I'm telling you, it's so hard to give it to God. The devil does it and makes it hard for you on purpose. Like, he traumatized you in that area on purpose so that you wouldn't have the faith to go to God. When you put your trust and faith in God, it's already done. You may not see it today, you may not see it tomorrow, but it's already done. You have to move like it's already done. You have to think and breathe and talk and speak and carry yourself as if it's already done. As long as you have faith the size of a mustard seed, it's done. But if you have doubts, God cannot work with that. If you are doubting him, he cannot work with it. And that's the whole point. That's why the devil, he literally had a whole plan to destroy you, to destroy your mind, to pervert your mind to a point where you can't even trust God for him to do something. No matter how much of the word you read, no matter how much you know this is the living God, this is the God of the universe, this God could do anything. He created me, he created this world. Like, you can sit here and say all those things, but when it comes to the thing that you have been traumatized and beat down in, you look at God like, can you really do it though? The devil does it on purpose, because he knows that if you have doubt, God can't do it for you. If you doubt, God can't do it for you. But we gotta lock in. We have to fully surrender that part of our life to him. We surrendered everything else. We have to surrender this last thing and watch what God will do. But I have to have faith in him. I have to trust him. If I don't trust him, I'm not gonna see a thing. If I don't trust him, and if you don't trust him, we're not gonna see anything come out of it. So we want to really see what God can do. We have to trust in him. We can't allow our traumas in our past to control us. We can't allow our traumas in our past to take us away from our blessings. Okay? Our traumas in the past, they're in the past for a reason. Okay? And when those tests come up, when you're being tested, lock in. Lock in. You know how the devil doesn't do this. The devil does the same thing over and over and over and over again. He don't come up with new stuff. He does the same thing over and over. He just knows. And the reason why I keep doing the same thing over and over is because he knows that you're going to go back and you're going to end up doing that same thing again, because you're so traumatized and you lack faith in God so much that you're going to go back to it. I find myself making these videos trying to motivate other people. Sometimes I don't even take my own advice. I need to say, this is the stuff I need to say. This is the stuff I have to say to myself too. This is the stuff I have to say to myself too, y'all. I don't care what your trauma is. God is going to exalt you like you've never seen before in that area of your life. He will. He's going to exalt you like you're going to see things you have never, oh my gosh, Lord. It's going to happen. You just have to have faith. Do not let the enemy hinder you anymore in this area of your life. Don't do it. Don't allow him to. Because that's the thing. We're opening the door for him. We're opening the door for him. Stop opening that door. If you see him knocking, oh, this look a little bit familiar. This look like the same thing. Oh, that's not God. That's the enemy. That's a counterfeit. That's a counterfeit situation. That's a counterfeit husband. That's a counterfeit job. That's a counterfeit, like whatever it is. You know. Oh, that's not him. That's the enemy. Lock in, y'all. Faith is the foundation of what we believe in. We got to get up and lock in, y'all.